Well, farmers pretty much battle it all. Between fires, floods and droughts, they've got a fair bit of experience at being resilient. But this could be the biggest battle of all. It's over power. They're united in stopping giant transmission towers being built on their land through a 500-kilometre corridor stretching from Western Victoria to southern New South Wales.
It's not consultation, it's notification.
We're not interested in the compensation, we just don't want the fire risk hanging over our heads for the rest of our life.
There is alternative options and they need to look into them before they just start bulldozing the food bowl.
It'll take 250 kilometres of Victorian farmland to make way for a new energy highway. Transmission lines will tower over these farmhouses and the families who work this land.
There's not one landholder up the whole line that wants to host this.
We will leave the region. That's not what you live in the country for.
So these farmers are coming as one. They've taken their fight all the way to the steps of Victoria's Parliament, and they want us to listen.
This is our paradise where they're putting up big power lines.
A community at odds with the powers that be.
Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what they'll take till it's gone.
Unable to meet in the middle. Farmers have united to stop the towers. It's already been a long, drawn-out process, but more than a year in, it's clear they're just warming up.
If it comes down to compulsory acquisition, that's where it's going to come down to, and we'll fight it to the last leg.
What's planned is called the Victoria to New South Wales Interconnector West, an overhead transmission line to carry clean power, like wind and solar, from renewable energy zones across the border.
The fact is, Australia's coal-fired power stations are closing down, and we need new transmission to keep the lights on.
It's not going green these farmers are worried about. It's everything else.
I've been to 5 of those meetings and we have not got any answers.
Bill Baldwin is a 6th-generation farmer. He works with his dad Greg on a cattle and crop farm near Stawell in Victoria's Wimmera region. This is Bill at a recent information session about the proposal.
It was our idea to take a PA system into the meeting because previous meetings there was not adequate sound and people were leaving because they couldn't hear what was going to be said. There was 3 bouncers waiting for me at the door and I got put on me there and then.
There's been security guards, even a police presence at meetings that haven't ended well. Communication's so poor, those meant to be communicating it are resorting to this.
We found the folder tied to a bit of string on the fence. We were tipped off by a neighbour that was there.
Community consultation for the interconnector began in July 2022.
I found out about this just at footy training one night. I didn't really take much notice of it until I heard there was people down the supermarket handing $20 out to people to answer a questionnaire about power lines coming through the area.
In October 2023, consultation with the community looks like this.
You try and come on my place or any of my mates here and put a tower up, I will pull your head off, get down the street.
Representatives from the state government and transmission company Victoria addressing a room full of tense, tired farmers and getting nowhere fast.
I know that's not right.
They seem to shut us down whenever we try and ask them tough questions.
I'll be asking questions again tonight that I asked 3 months ago that they said they'd look into.
Right now, 500 landowners could be sharing their farm with 80-metre-tall towers. 6th-generation farmer Trent Carter says farming and how they do it will have to adapt.
It'll certainly be on a reduced production capacity for sure, if these do go ahead.
The corridor is slowly being narrowed down to what will eventually be about 100 metres wide. But in the meantime, farmers like Gerald Feeney fear a future where battling a bushfire will mean navigating 500 kilovolts of power.
We're not trained to deal with this sort of high voltage line. The Royal Commission after Black Saturday recommended undergrounding, bundling and undergrounding power lines. It's as if that didn't happen, those recommendations didn't exist. 173 lives lost. They haven't learned anything.
Gerald's a volunteer firefighter of 40 years. He's witnessed a water bomber save his own farmhouse and says with transmission lines close by, aerial support won't be able to help.
If you're only distances of a few hundred metres from people's homes, and that removes your ability to fight that fire and use that aerial support.
I get it, this is hard. It's emotional, but the bottom line is we need new transmission. Our analysis shows that all of Victoria's coal-fired power stations will close by 2035.
Australian Energy Market Operators CEO Daniel Westerman insists what's proposed is nothing new.
In Victoria, there are 6,500 kilometres of transmission, which local firefighters successfully fight around. They're just a core part of day-to-day life, and they don't impede the firefighting.
He says going underground would cost 10 times more.
We're recognising that that's a disruption for landowners, so there's compensation available.
But for Greg, dollars will never be enough.
I've got land left to me from my grandparents and my father. When I pass the baton on, I don't want to pass it on with these transition lines on it that, you know, is going to cause them grief for the rest of their lives.